And last night, President Biden said, we're going to seize their yachts.
The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets.
And so one of the European allies, included in what you just heard the president say, now has custody of the largest swimming pool that exists on a yacht. That yacht was seized today by German authorities while maintenance was underway at the Hamburg shipyards in Germany. It is the largest yacht in the world by gross tonnage, and it is owned by the Russian billionaire Alisher Usmanov, who was sanctioned by the European Union on Monday. Forbes is reporting tonight that Usmanov paid $600 million for the yacht, which was built by a German yacht builder. In other Russian billionaire news, as the British Parliament debated sanctioning Roman Abramovich, Mr. Abramovich decided to announce he is now selling his English soccer team and will donate the money from the sale, quote, for the benefit of all victims of the war in Ukraine. Forbes reports that Abramovich purchased the team for $190 million, and it is now valued at more than $3 billion. And joining us now is Edward Fishman, who served as Russia sanction lead at the State Department. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I want to begin with that yacht, that most visible asset seizure that we have had and may have for a while. Germany just closing in on that. Hamburg shipyard is where a lot of the super yachts, mega yachts go in for service, where many of them have been built. And Germany just made the move that President Biden promised last night. What's their legal authority for doing it, and will we see more of it?
I think we're only going to see more of that in the days and weeks to come, Lawrence. The European Union acted swiftly to impose these sanctions on Alisher Usmanov, and they made good on that threat by seizing his yacht. I think what we've seen in the last week are unprecedented sanctions on the Russian economy, which have affected broad swaths of the population. We've seen the bank runs, we've seen the long ATM lines. Clearly, the average Russian has been hurting from these sanctions. I think in these moves that we've seen now, both by the European Union and by President Biden with the United States, the demonstration now is that it is not just average Russians, middle-class Russians, who will feel the pain of Putin's unprovoked war of aggression in Ukraine. It is the very wealthiest Russians who will have their toys, like Alisher Usmanov's yacht, taken from them. And honestly, Lawrence, just a couple of weeks ago, there was doubts around the world about Germany's willingness to cancel the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. There were doubts about Germany's willingness to impose really aggressive sanctions on Russia. What we're seeing now is an incredibly swift and really substantial action by the German government to make good on these oligarch sanctions. And what I would say, Lawrence, is that all oligarchs, even those who are closest to Putin, have been put on notice.
And when you were working on the sanctions regime, was there an operative theory? Was there evidence, I should say? Was there evidence for the theory that pressure on the Russian billionaires can then transfer to pressure on Putin?
Look, Lawrence, the fact of the matter is, and this is an unfortunate fact, that Putin is a lonely dictator. And what that means is that there are not that many obvious vectors of influence to Putin. The oligarchs may be extraordinarily wealthy and live very lavish lives, but Putin owns them. Let's go back 20 years when Putin was in the very early stages of his presidency. Basically, what he did was he cut a deal with the oligarchs saying, you can keep your money, you can keep your yachts, but stay out of politics. And those oligarchs who did sort of wade into politics, they ended up in jail or worse. So I think as any individual oligarch is not going to have influence over President Putin. That's just a fact. However, as a class, if all hundreds of Russian billionaires, and there's quite a few of them, if all of them were to turn on Putin, and I think we're kind of getting close to that, because you're seeing some of the closest oligarchs, like Oleg Deripaska even, coming out and condemning Putin's war in Ukraine, then perhaps we could see change. And I think what the theory of the case right now, Lawrence, by both the United States and the European Union, is really to try to throw every type of vector of influence at Vladimir Putin right now, be it through societal pressure. You're seeing protests still across Russia because People's wallets are hurting, their savings are vanishing, but then also these oligarchs pressuring Putin through their own channels.
Edward Fishman, you know, I think many of us sometimes look back on our old jobs and think, I missed that job today. But if you're in the sanctions office in the United States government working on sanctions against Russia, and it comes to the seizure of the yachts, that might be the day I think you might want to be back in the office for another tour of duty. Edward Fishman, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
Thank you.